Rome thought the mountains would protect them. Rome thought winter would protect them. Rome thought nobody alive was insane enough to drag war elephants over the Alps. Rome was wrong, and it started with a 9-year-old boy at an altar in North Africa, his hand on a fresh sacrifice, while his father made him swear.
Your hand on the stone.
Take me with you to Spain.
Then swear that you will never be a friend of Rome.
He kept that promise so completely, he became the most feared man alive. He destroyed the largest army Rome ever fielded in one afternoon, then ran loose inside Italy for 15 years. His name was Hannibal, and he won almost every battle he ever fought and still lost. So how do you lose a war when you win every fight in it? Carthage, a rich trading empire on the coast of modern Tunisia. Carthage didn't do citizen soldiers. Carthage had money, and money hires other people to do your dying. Rome, a pushy republic in Italy. Rome's superpower wasn't gold, it was people. Rome could lose an entire army and simply build another. Most states collapse after losing one. Rome treated it like a rough week. That is the whole story. Remember it. They had already fought once over Sicily. Carthage lost and took a fine that nearly broke the state. One general took that personally. Hannibal Barca, Hannibal's father. He didn't think Carthage had been beaten. He thought it had been betrayed. So he took his army to Spain and built a private empire pointed at Rome. Hannibal wasn't born hating Rome. He was raised to. Then Hamilcar drowned, his successor was assassinated, and the army turned and looked at a 26-year-old. Hannibal did not relax. He besieged Saguntum, a Roman ally, for 8 months and took it, spring 218 BC. The Second Punic War had begun. Rome assumed the fighting would happen in Spain or Africa, somewhere sensible. Rome was thinking about ships. Hannibal was thinking about mountains.
Over the Alps with the elephants?
Good. If you think it's impossible, so will Rome.
Imagine you're 19. You grew up in North Africa. You've never seen snow. Now you're climbing the tallest mountains you've ever imagined in freezing fog. Tribes are rolling boulders onto your friends. The path is 1 boot wide. There's a 1,000-foot drop on your left, and you're walking behind an elephant. Men froze to death in their sleep. Mules slipped off the edge and vanished into the white. Near the top, a landslide had taken the path away. Men could scramble over the rubble, elephants could not. 3 days rebuilding a road out of broken rock. 15 days in the mountains. He came down into Italy with 20,000 foot and barely 6,000 horse. He had lost half his army to a mountain range. And then imagine being a Roman farmer in the Po Valley. You walk out to check your fields. There are elephants. Rome sent a general north to deal with this frozen, half-starved invader. It went badly. On the freezing banks of the Trebia, Hannibal hid 2,000 men in a ditch overnight, then had his cavalry taunt the Roman camp until the Romans came out, cold, furious, and without breakfast. They waded a winter river to get there. That's when the hidden men hit them from behind. Rome raised another army, because of course it did. So Hannibal vanished into the fog beside a lake called Trasimene, folded his whole army along the road where nobody could see it, and let the Romans walk in. 2 hours later, 15,000 were dead, the consul included. So Rome tried something new. Rome stopped trying to win. They appointed Fabius Maximus, and Fabius had one strategy. Don't fight Hannibal ever. Shadow him. Cut his supplies. Burn the crops in his path. Refuse every time to give him a battle. It was genius and unbearable to watch. Then, one night, Fabius finally trapped him in a valley, so Hannibal tied burning torches to 2,000 oxen and drove them up the hills in the dark. The Romans chased the lights, and he walked his army out through the pass. He escaped a trap using cows. Rome got so sick of this undignified not losing that it fired Fabius and gave the army to 2 fresh consuls, with one order: find Hannibal and crush him. Summer 216 BC, Cannae. This is the one they still teach in military academies today. Rome brought 80,000 men, the biggest army it had ever built. Hannibal had 50 on flat, open ground, exactly the fair fight Rome wanted. So he handed them a trap disguised as a mistake. He put his weakest troops in the center and pushed it forward, bulging his line out like a bubble. The Romans slammed in, and the bubble gave way, slowly, bending backward. That looked like winning, so they pushed harder. They never noticed his best troops on the wings hadn't moved, or his cavalry looping around the back to close the door. The bubble didn't break. It swallowed them. Packed so tight the Romans couldn't swing their swords. Ancient writers put the Roman dead as high as 70,000 in one afternoon. That night the camp celebrated. It lasted about a minute.
Give me the cavalry. 5 days, and you dine on the capital.
Give me time to think.
You know how to win a victory. You don't know how to use one.
Hannibal didn't march on Rome. He had no siege equipment for walls that size, and he was betting Rome would sue for terms. It was the biggest miscalculation of his life. Rome refused to even ransom its prisoners and started building another army. Here's the cruel joke. After Cannae, Hannibal was winning everything, and it was getting him nowhere. Cities flipped to his side. On paper, he was running the table, but he was one army, deep in enemy territory, with no way to replace his losses. And Carthage, the one place that could reinforce him, kept sending troops anywhere else. His own government was letting him lose. Rome played the long game, retaking cities, dodging the big fight, quietly strangling him. In 211 BC, he marched up to the walls of Rome itself.
Hannibal is at the gates. Aren't you afraid?
The field he's camped on sold this morning. Full price.
Nobody flinched. After a couple of days, he turned around and left. One hope remained. His brother Hasdrubal crossed the Alps with a second army and sent a letter ahead, saying where to meet. The riders got lost. The letter reached the Romans. They destroyed Hasdrubal before the brothers ever met. Then Roman horsemen rode up to Hannibal's camp and threw something over the wall. It was his brother's head. At that first clash in the north, a Roman teenager had dragged his wounded father out alive. His name was Scipio, and he spent his life studying Hannibal's battles, working out how to beat the unbeatable man. Then he did something clever. He refused to fight Hannibal in Italy at all. He sailed to Africa and threatened Carthage itself. Carthage panicked and begged Hannibal home to defend the city he'd left as a boy. In 202 BC, the two stood across from each other near a town called Zama, and every advantage Hannibal used to have was now on the other side. The cavalry that won him, Cannae, had changed sides. He sent his elephants in first. Scipio opened lanes in his lines and let them thunder harmlessly through. Then the Roman cavalry chased off Hannibal's horsemen, looped around, and hit him from behind. His own move from Cannae, used against him by a man who learned it watching him. And Hannibal lost, for the first time in his life, in the one battle that decided the war. Carthage gave up its empire, its navy, and its elephants. Hannibal didn't sulk. He got elected to its highest office and cleaned up the government so well that his own crooked enemies reported him to Rome to be rid of him. He beat Rome for 15 years. Carthaginian accountants finished him in a season. Rome hunted him to a tiny town by the sea. An old man, no army, no empire, no threat to anyone. And Rome still couldn't sleep while he breathed. So he reached for the ring with the poison in it. Alexander conquered the world. Caesar conquered Rome. Hannibal conquered fear. For centuries, Roman parents still frightened their children to sleep with one name. He did everything right, and the weight of Rome ground him down anyway. Rome won the war, but Hannibal won history. 2,000 years later, we still study his battles, not theirs.